You know who Andrew Tate is?
Yeah.
Do you like him?
No.
Why?
Why are you asking me that?
No, I just want to hear your opinion on it.
Okay, why?
Yeah, so why don't you like him?
Why are you asking?
Just wondering.
Okay.
The second filter exposes the real role of advertising. Media costs a lot more than consumers will ever pay. So who fills the gap? Advertisers. And what are the advertisers paying for? Audiences. And so it isn't so much that the media are selling you a product, their output. They're also selling advertisers a product, you.
Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. So, political correctness is not a new thing at all. Like, for as long as politics has existed, there's always been a correct way to do politics, according to politicians. According to the people who listen to them, follow them, there's always been a correct way, right? Because I'm pretty sure if, because the Greeks created politics, like literally it's a Greek word, so they created politics. If a woman went to stand in front of like the I don't know, the Council of Men or whatever, I forget, like I know the Senate is Roman. I'm not exactly sure what the Greeks called theirs, but let's just say in front of the Council of Men, right? If a woman stood up and said her mind, that would be incredibly politically incorrect, right, at that time. But even then, you don't even have to go that far back, because it's quite obvious that, at least to me, the right wing, the right-wing beliefs or right-wing politics have always centered around political correctness. Always. If it's a belief in tradition, if it's a belief in not changing how things are done necessarily, I don't know. You ask somebody what it means to have right-wing beliefs, and you could, honestly, if you talk to them long enough, you could probably get a different interpretation every time. It goes along with every political side, by the way. But, what I understand from right-wing politics is the, holding on to tradition, holding on to not even the past necessarily, but an ideal version of the past. And it's, to me, the 20th century alone showed right-wing political correctness on full display. More so than even the modern left wing right now. Right now, it's because the world has gone through such like a weird political shift, and a lot of things haven't really changed, but in terms of rhetoric, it's gone through like this weird political shift, and the left wing has a lot more. They have a lot more power now, and they're a lot more able to voice their positions or their concerns, right, than ever before in history, really. So a common thing I see, a common complaint most people have online is the amount of political correctness that exists. How, you have to choose your words carefully or not talk about this group or that group or what this person did or what that person did, because that would be politically incorrect, right? It's reason enough for you to be banned and deplatformed. We can see it even recently with Andrew Tate, right? And the funniest thing to me is watching all the videos of like random people will go up to somebody and be like, Andrew Tate, yeah, he's a misogynist. Can you tell me why he's a misogynist? And then they just walk away. they don't explain why he's a misogynist. They've just been told, right? And the thing is, it's so stupid how this political correctness thing works, because I've now consumed more Andrew Tate content than I ever wanted to. Because I would see all these hot takes going viral and everything, and I'm like, okay, yeah, another shock jock. But the fact that the people who frothing at the mouth to deplatform him and ban him and have him thrown in jail, they can't even say why they don't like him. They can't even quote something as to why they don't like him. And yet, they just know, oh yeah, no, like, to label somebody, especially now, to label somebody a misogynist, and you can't even explain why, it's such a scummy move. To label somebody anything, right? People don't even think, they don't know why, but they'll just go with it. Imagine if somebody just started saying, you, the person listening, is a murderer. You're a murderer, right? Or you're a rapist. People just started saying that. And if you ask them, well, what do you mean he's a murderer? And then they just, how dare you ask me this? And then you just walk away, right? This is such a weird time. It's such a strange. It's such a strange time in human history, because, okay, alliances have happened and all that before, but this time in particular, I call this a time of strange bedfellows. You have people who are on opposite sides of the spectrum politically, but because, they're being thrown into the same bucket, and you, of course they would hate that. Now you find them having to fight along with one another, ally with one another, to fight against the people who are throwing them all in the same bucket because they are too stupid to even sift through why exactly they have a problem with them. And one good thing I can say it's come out of it is like people's principles. Because now you're really starting to see who holds to their principles, who really is living about what they preach. Who really has that sense of integrity and principles, right? For you to be able to defend somebody you hate, you despise, off of the principle by itself, I think that's a great thing. I do. I really do. That's one reason I personally, till now, believe in due process. Even for somebody who I consider a terrible person. I cannot stress enough that due process is for you, the innocent ones, more than anyone. Right? If a person is guilty, they'll be guilty. If the system is corrupt, they'll get off. But if you as a person that's innocent and you're looking for that innocence and you don't get it, that's a massive betrayal. And I've seen so many people who disagree with Andrew Tate or even Kevin Samuels, like they disagree with what they say completely, and yet they are defending them out of principle, because wrong is wrong, and Andrew Tate specifically had these literally sex trafficking allegations on him, and he came out with a video explaining that the cops were there when they arrested them. I think they searched the house or whatever, and they just left. I don't know if they've pressed charges. I think the case is probably maybe ongoing. But simply to have that kind of allegation thrown on somebody like Andrew Tate was enough for people to, like, a lot of people are going to be sued, like, terribly. One thing about this social media stuff, you have to be incredibly careful about the things you say online. about people, about actual people, you will be thrown into bankruptcy and poverty incredibly easily, just because you were too stupid to realize that somebody can actually, you're defaming somebody's character, you're slandering them in a way that could potentially harm their future, just because you don't like them. And if his Andrew Tate case goes through and he's actually guilty, then yeah, fuck him. If he's not guilty, literally so many people have been calling this guy a human trafficker. And if it's not true, they're not good. And the funny thing is, after this, like this modern day political correctness, once it gets done with somebody and it turns out that they're not guilty of whatever it is they're being accused of, there's no apology, there's no remorse, there's nothing. In fact, you'll still have some people doubling down, or they'll find some other random thing to try and throw on them to justify their own depravity, really. And my point of this video was that even, let's say in the early 1900s, right? Go back and watch any Disney movie, any Disney film, or any Disney production that was made back then. Heck, a lot of cartoons, a lot of films, and it was an incredibly racist genre. Incredibly. Like, films back then, even if you say it's a product of their time and whatever, like, you look at them and you'll be like, wow, these are the things people were watching? That was what they considered politically correct. Those old Disney films, that is what people considered politically correct back then. It was politically correct to even in like certain news articles, like big newspapers, right? To address like a black person or somebody else with a slur, right? Like the word Negro is not necessarily a slur, but in the way that they meant it, it was, right? It's either that or they would use the actual N-word, and that was politically correct for them. And personally, right-wing political correctness is far more violent. Far more violent because what is considered politically correct in that frame of mind is easily escalates to violence. I mean, like literally like murder and stuff like that, right? Left wing, I don't want to say it's better, because what it does is it makes somebody socially dead. So you're not even, you move through life now dead. You're cancelled, right? You're cancelled like a Netflix subscription. You're cancelled. You're deplatformed. You're banned off the internet. You're shadow banned. Even in cases where you might think that, this guy deserved it, like Alex Jones deserved it. He was actually a piece of shit. He deserved to be deplatformed, right? There's several other huge creators on this platform that absolutely deserve it as well, but they make YouTube too much money, so they'll keep getting a pass for it, If you actually break those rules in a way that is damaging to other people's lives, I don't think you deserve a platform, personally. But I literally used to watch Nazi channels on YouTube all the time, like 2016, 2017, like there was Nazi channels everywhere, and I did not want them deplatformed. I didn't. Where else was I going to learn about how these people are depraved and how evil they are, if not from their own mouths, their own word of mouth, right? Even on Reddit, there was a fascism. Reddit is depraved as well, right? But there was a fascism forum. There was a debate the alt-right forum, and I was literally able to like read their arguments word for word and to understand their mindset. And yet, going through the Nazi purge that they did on YouTube in like I think, was it the Adpocalypse in 2018 or 2019? I don't know. But pretty much from the Adpocalypse onwards, they just been going on a Nazi purge. And while it made the advertisers happy, the rest of society suffered greatly for it, because now you have people live streaming mass shootings like racially motivated mass shootings that are being live streamed on Twitch and Facebook. You know, like with the Buffalo supermarket shooting, with the Christchurch shooting. They've escalated. This has only escalated their frustrations. I mean, heck, they literally they have, didn't they try to take over the damn U.S. Capitol, right? So much for your online Nazi purge, right? When people can just realize, hey, we can just walk into the U.S. Capitol, like literally the main seat of political power in the entire country. We can just storm in and go and kill politicians. And if they broke in well enough, they would have killed a lot of them. Like, they would have. Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter, right? And, you know, these are people who have had their views termed as politically incorrect, right? In this modern understanding, and they're no less violent for it, right? This idea of political correctness will always be brought up. It will always be brought up when people are trying to be edgy. Like, literally, that's what it is. People are just always trying to be edgy. And yet now, people censor themselves online just to make sure that they don't trip off a YouTube algorithm. I've had to reduce the amount of swearing that I have to use the same words over and over just so I don't swear. Just so I don't get another warning about my channel being deleted. For comments I don't even know that they're saying I commented. And you know, it's just so arbitrary. But at the same time, it's not just political correctness that we have to worry about, it's the advertiser-friendly political correctness. That transcends left-wing, right-wing, far-right, far-left. Because I can tell you, advertisers in the 1920s would have found advertising in the 2020s entirely politically incorrect for what they allow, for what they allow to have for the people who they allow their products to be sold by, right? Or to advertise their products. There's going to reach a point where the whatever side of the political spectrum you're on will not matter. It will just be the convenient one at the time. You know, what was the convenient political side to be in the 1920s, 1930s, or 1940s? I hope I don't have to tell you that. But right now, what is it? Right? What talking points do you have to say so as to get a cheer from the crowd and not to be cancelled and have rocks thrown at you? That's the situation we're headed into. Like, I even watched a video about Mark Zuckerberg and his descent into corporate greed, and he literally looked so much more human. Like, he was still kind of a piece of shit, even when he founded Facebook. But he just kept getting worse and worse and worse, and his facial expressions became dry. Like, his whatever personality he had before that just vanished. And the greed just increased and increased. It's one reason why he kneecapped Instagram so badly. Instagram was going to overtake Facebook. Instagram was going to overtake Facebook, and I think it did. I think it did at some point, or it was about to. Even after they bought Instagram, it was still going to overtake Facebook. And Zuckerberg had to kneecap the company, and the original founders and CEOs left as a result. Now they've turned Instagram into TikTok 2.0, and it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. All in an effort to compete with something that you cannot compete. I do not want to know what comes after TikTok, because TikTok to me is like the final stage. It's absolutely horrendous. Like, you say the wrong thing on TikTok, somebody will find your parents' Facebook account, your siblings' Facebook account, where you work or where you worked, where you went to school, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, and they'll send them harassment and death threats and all kinds of disgusting things. Just because you said something they didn't like, because you said something they didn't like that they didn't have to even watch, right? You said something they didn't like, they didn't have to watch. And now your family and your friends and your circle now are collateral damage. They're necessary collateral damage, right? They're suitable, right? That's good enough, you know? And this is what I mean when, you know, if somebody, let's compare it to, there was a movie, the first movie ever screened in the White House was called Birth of a Nation. It was a movie about the Triple K. I can tell you that, right? That movie actually inspired the resurrection of the Triple K. Because they came up in like the post Civil War period, then they were smacked out. They were smacked down, right? Then they came back up again because of that single movie. And a lot of subsequent violence happened against black people, against Mexicans, against, heck, even white people who didn't want to get with that program. And it seems to me that if this generation has its own version of Birth of a Nation, there's going to be such senseless bloodshed that people won't even be able to understand why. You know, if you go back to ask like a Triple K member why they hate black people so much, or why they wanted to lynch somebody, they'll tell you, you know, it doesn't make sense, yes, but they can give you a reason. As bullshit as it is, they'll give you some you know, backwards rationalized reason. But now somebody could do the same thing, like just say even if it's like a fascist or something, in any whatever context, like not even whatever context, but just, you know, they say somebody is a fascist, and then somebody goes and kills that guy, and then when the murderer is asked, why did you kill this guy? He says, because he was a fascist. What about him was so fascistic, right? I don't know. Oh, you know, how dare you ask me? You can't see it. Isn't it obvious? You know? This is the situation that we're living in it right now, right? We can't say in the next 10 years, 5 years, all this stuff is happening right now. Maybe on a small scale, or maybe it's just on too big of a scale for us to actually pay attention to. Either way, no matter what side of the spectrum you're on, you're not getting out unscathed. You're not. It's pretty sad to see, to be honest.